Oh, well, all right. Yasini is in the motherfucking house. And I do have my energy twins with me tonight. And y'all already know because I made the mistake of putting the picture up. I did turn my phone off, by the way. But yeah, it's going to be a high energy night. So if you're not ready and you haven't read the title, then don't be up in here acting all like you didn't know what to expect. For one, Salima Ellis is on the stage. Jillian Brown is our guest tonight. And Jillian really needs no introduction. So I'm going to let her introduce herself. We're going to go. I'm going to show you them. Look. Look.
Hello. Hey.
Wait a minute. I'm trying to see. Come on in. Come on in. Michael Passio, peace and love. Brandon, peace and love. To all of those coming in the house. Keita Rising was the first one in. Been in here. So we thank her. But look at it. There she is. Jillian Brown, Salima Ellis. Y'all already know.
Peace,
Any
peace.
of y'all can have the floor anytime you like.
Peace
Thank
and love.
Hi guys, I'm Jillian Brown, also known as the Word Witch under my artist name. Um, and I'm really grateful that y'all are having me on the show again. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, chanting for change. I love chant. And it's interesting. I'm sure everybody is, at different stages of things, but there are quite a few documentaries, even on YouTube, that people can go to about chant and why it's so powerful. And one of the most popular ones that people know and even see a lot of times in movies as a joke, when somebody needs to calm down, they hit this mudra and they close their eyes and they say, and I've seen people do it like as a joke, but it's interesting that even as a joke under the cliche, it's embedded that there are certain sounds that we can make which will calm our nervous system down. And that's one of the things as I've gone from chanting to creating music that I realized that sound literally is one of the fastest ways to heal and calm your nervous system. Um,
Because
it
in the beginning was the word, right?
absolutely.
I
And
said the word is on or on, which is the same thing. On, on.
I tend to think of that word, right? Because when they say it, it's the Hebrew and Greek scriptures, right? So the word that they use there is in the beginning there was the logos.
Yes.
I find
Yes.
it so
Take
interesting
us back. Take us back.
for visual. But I remember I put up a poem and I said, I see sounds and I sing songs. And it's interesting how the senses really swim together. Some of us have seen that chart. It has like the eye of horse and it's broken down into what looks like math problems we had when we were a kid. It says one half,
Mhm.
one fourth, one eighth,
Right.
1/16, and and showing like the different parts of the senses. And so when it says in the beginning there was the logos, like all these companies, right? Use the logos. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like this unheard sound, especially I'll never forget years ago, I was asleep and my sister walked in and she was kind of tipsy. So it was like funny just watching her. But I remember I woke up and the TV was still on and that Taco Bell ding sound went off. And she's trying to tell me her story. And I'm like, I should go get me a burrito. I wasn't even hungry. I just woke up.
Damn.
What? 2 o'clock in the morning. Like what? So
Uh,
interesting how that sound began to like incorporate all this stuff to me. And it's the same way with the logos. If somebody shows you a Target symbol, you're gonna know it's Target, even if they don't have Target above it.
right. It's that
And
bullseye.
so when I read that in the beginning there was the word and the word was God and the word was with God, I see that everything that see that's frequency, all the variety that is in nature. I
Mhm.
feel like that was the sound. Like
Yeah.
it was like a frequency that went out and created at the same time.
That's right. And
Yes.
they
So
call it the Big Bang.
yeah,
It went boom though.
I mean, I'm I'm sure in certain aspects it was like a bang and a boom. That's how creation has felt for me. I know.
Okay.
Once I got into music, it was like bang. It was like, where was this? But one of the most interesting things that I personally discovered through chanting and wanting to just understand it, like on a level very deep. So a lot of people have heard the Vedic chants and things like that. Um, or let's start with Om, right? A lot of people will write it O.
Can I ask the question
Sure.
first? Um, where does it come from? People chant. Why do they chant? Does it just hit them one day, and do you have to go and learn some other culture and get into it, or
I think whatever our reasons are for getting to chant is probably a variety, just like we see in nature. But for some people, it's their culture. Even though honestly, I think every culture in some form or fashion has chant. What's interesting is that if you hear the Om chant, right? They'll put it a lot of times on YouTube, 108 times. And Catholics will have what's called rosary beads, and
Mhm.
they will repeat a chant to Hail Mother Mary, whatever the chant is. I'm sorry, I'm not Catholic, so I don't have but but it's the same thing. It's repetitive sounds. So
Right?
what's happening in the brain as this is happening? As far as the Vedic chants are known, these are seated sounds. So a lot of times there is not an exact translation or a meaning for these sounds, but
Right.
these sounds are beyond, um, I would say, like the rationale of the human mind. These are seeded sounds, like a seed is packed with the information for a whole tree. These sounds be seeded with the energy of creation, the energy that you can use to change. So, with the right, and why people chant and how it was done properly as well. When we understand the power of our throat, right? So with nothing around, you could create music and everything else with the power of your throat. So when
Mhm.
people, like when I did that just now, my whole face now is tingling because
Wow.
ah is the first sound, and that's gonna cause like here, ah, if you do it to kind of ring, pay attention. And then the U is usually a rounded OU sound, like oh, and this is gonna start to cause this area. And when I say the I hold on to it, and it causes the sinuses to ring, and then up to the third eye. So this is energy that is literally going to begin to transform your consciousness after some time if you do it properly. And so when you see them saying, I need to calm down, this is getting on my nerves, and they hit that, that's really
Mhm.
a real thing. They could joke about it, but
Right.
it's a real thing. And if you do this more than when you need to calm down, if you do it in a time where you're just chilling and you make it a habit, you'll notice you will be calmer in life, period. And you will need to calm down less.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
what's interesting is when I personally started doing the chants, like I was amazed. I was amazed at the amount of body hacks there are to change your consciousness.
Okay.
When I started,
Healing.
I started by doing segments called "How I'm Fixing My Brain." I could tell something was off. um, and and the body hacks are amazing because a lot of times for some of us, right? Not to mention the products and the frequencies and everything else going on. This can stop being our tool and it can actually begin to become something that can suppress and depress us if we're not careful.
Right.
Thoughts are
Yeah.
very powerful things. They're so powerful. So um incorporating mudras. You know, what I mean, I was like, I can make a
Yeah.
sound of finger like I'm in the Hunger Games for 10 minutes, and it's gonna change. Okay, I'm gonna try it. So what's interesting is when I started getting into the longer chants or finding out that there were specific chants for specific things.
Yes.
This is a language that I don't know. Again, I'm finding out about these sounds. So I'm like, why is it that when I look up the meaning of Om, it says a mystical syllable, the syllable that seeded the universe. But if I use it in a chant for something else, um, like for Ganesha, which removes obstacles, it would be an entire chant. And in that entire chant, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Sharanam Ganesha, they'll say the Om is like greetings and hail salutations. So I'm like, well, why are they giving me an explanation for it here and not there?
Hmm.
But that sent me into was the fact that there is an evil goddess by the name of Oma, who
Oh, damn.
Hindu became Uma, which to the Dogon was Ama, which which most people here in the West know as Amen.
Mm, mm, mm.
It is still here. Even when children have a question, they'll look up and their third eye and say,
Right.
still
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
it's still here.
Hey,
Uh,
I
and
use that too, though. I use it too. When you
yes,
say, like, when you can't bring something to your mind quick enough and you go, then it'll come. Most
yes,
of the time, you called it with that.
euphemism, but I think it's way more than that. I think it's way more than that. I think it's pulling something to the consciousness that you're to forward in your consciousness that you're focusing on.
Mm,
But um and Oma is the Igbo goddess of purity, of like love, and I don't know, just it was just a really bomb time in my life when I discovered those connections and um and how powerful that energy is. So I have used chant personally in my life for quite a few situations. Um Chant is very powerful. Kita's on here. Kita could tell you. I would call Kita and we would chant on the phone, and
it was in here first.
electronics are going crazy. Um, People can feel the energy coming off of this.
Yeah.
So the way I would see it is though you are actually speaking forth atoms that can change the matter around you.
Right.
How powerful chant is.
Right.
Mm.
Powerful enough where just anybody shouldn't be playing around.
Yeah, well, I think chant is actually right. Chant is like repetition,
Hmm.
but there's an actual process or a method. Like when I want to chant, it's also about the posture, right? Um, I like to do it with my eyes closed, making sure my breath, even the area that I'm in, sitting on a rug,
Hmm.
uh, actually to conserve the energy in the body. But when you think about it, chant is basically repetition, and that's the way all of us learn. When they wanted to teach us our ABCs, it was repetition through a song,
Right.
right? And that same melody for G is the same melody for Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So whatever this melody is, they kept it also running in the background with multiple things, and it was the seeded sounds of the alphabet that we use to create words that we use chant for. So so anything that we chant or constantly repeat to ourselves is going to come to the fore. So when people are unknowingly playing with chant, unknowingly repeating negative things to themselves, and it is appearing in their life, and they're not understanding how powerful they are, they're
Hmm.
just that basically life is just coming to uh, verify, right? What they've been testing and not understanding that no, like you are creating. I remember Jimi Hendrix said you get a people at their lowest, you can introduce music with hand, right? And
Yes.
it's a control mechanism.
And I know we're gonna get into that, but Salima, how you feel?
Well, actually, I love everything that's going down. Greetings and salutations to the bloodline. Greetings and salutations to the chat and the panel. Goddess, you before Jillian gave her answer, you said so no one should be like really messing around with chanting.
Mhm.
But we have to realize within our culture, when our children are in distress, indigenous children chant, and they don't often understand that what
Mhm.
they chanting may be bringing what they don't want or what they do want.
That
You see, because I've heard children, they'll chant for their parents, like if they're at daycare or school or things like that, they'll chant for their parent over and over again
right.
until that parent appears. So I wholeheartedly agree with Jillian is saying, but in regards to our children, they definitely start younger than what we realize, especially when they go into distress, when
Mhm.
they want to see someone or they feel like they're being neglected, they definitely go into chant mode until something is come brought to fruition where their eyes can see like, okay, now I'm satisfied. But I don't mean to interrupt. Let's keep going.
No, no,
Well,
go ahead.
I be having questions.
It's
So
not.
the person who chants, is he now structuring a reality of something? You know, he sees something, he likes it. I'm sure there's a chant for that. He sees something he don't like, and I'm sure there's a chant for that. Is he moving through life with chants?
Well, yes, you can. I mean, I definitely feel that I have used it to rearrange certain parts of my consciousness, which
Okay.
there opened up new pathways, new neural pathways. Because, like I said, you can ask anybody in my life before 2 years ago if I was making music, talking about making music, sounded like I could make music, any of that, they're gonna tell you no. They're gonna tell you no because it was just it was nowhere in my awareness. It was always there, obviously, but it just was not in my awareness. So, like I said, the chants, what they actually do is begin to change your brain waves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I start chanting for them, after some time they sleep. Their brain waves will change so quickly that
Mm-hmm.
the cannot even handle it unless it's in sleep.
Mm.
So, um,
Wow.
and that's how powerful it is. And remember, again, these are if you're going to chant mantras, those are seeded sounds, so packed with energy. And so, yes, it's going to have to be coupled with a mindset. It's going to have to be coupled with consistency. And I know a lot of people don't like the word, but with belief. Like
Mm-hmm.
Brian has this thing, this talk is called The Biology of Belief, showing how what we think and believe can literally alter our DNA. So it's the same
Absolutely.
this. It's if you don't, people don't sometimes really don't connect to a thing. They really truly don't try it. They really truly don't put their energy with it. I think it's the same way with people who pray, right? They're praying over their food. Now, one part of the world might look at this as though this is the um, energy that is coming down into the top of your crown, right? And
Yeah.
that you're seeing over the food. But there's another that thinks that, okay, they're connecting with another energy and they're asking for grace, things like this, right? But it's
Mm-hmm.
still speaking over your food, regardless, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting how what we believe is going to connect us to different pathways. And um if people are afraid or whatever of the seated sounds,
Mm-hmm.
there's a type of meditation that involves chanting or repetition of any word you like. Any
Can I make up a word?
you absolutely, but it should be one syllable because of the way the brain was is going to take it and begin to
Oh.
the right. And this type of meditation is called transcendental meditation. If you look up the benefits of transcendental meditation, it is ridiculous. I'm talking about lowering your blood pressure, your blood sugar can normalize. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on StreamYard. I wouldn't recommend people just jump straight to one thing. But what I'm saying is that this is This is information that can already be found about the benefits of transcendental meditation. So it's repeating a one syllable word 15 minutes a day. The
Mm,
largest study, right, done on transcendental meditation was quite a few years ago, I think like in the 70s, and it's
okay.
called Maharishi effect. And this thing is so banging that what they did is they went in certain cities, big cities, New
Mm,
York, things like that, and they took certain markers before they got there. Car accident rates, suicide rates, pollution, weather, things like that. They dropped 1,000 yogis in this city. This is not people meditating for 8 hours a day. This is 15 minutes a day, twice a day. That's it. And then they went about their life as regular. At the end of the month, when they retook the markers, car accident rates and suicide rates had dropped by 22%,
mm.
weather better, pollution got better, unemployment rates got better. So they understand we affect our environment the same way our environment affects us. And this
Very
is
useful.
repeating a one syllable word. So when I started transcendental meditation, the word I chose was now, because I used to be too worried about the past and I used to be too worried about the future. But the place where we get our power from and connect to is right now. So I would chant now, now, now. When I did this repeatedly, it really did begin to put me in the present. It really did begin to align me because it's like this, it became a constant kind of running program in the background, the same way our ABCs do. You know
Mhm.
what? Learn them. You never have to relearn them again. The chant has placed the repetition into your memory. So that's what it would do for me. It would just
Listen, that's the word witch. That's we really need to be taking your advice because you're not the word witch for nothing, Jillian.
but thank you,
And I
thank you,
know I've been captured a lot by your words,
thank you
your
so much.
posts, your
Okay.
music, your words in your music. It's like you are music, Jillian.
Oh my God. Thank
Really,
you.
I was binging your music one day. It's like this is really great stuff.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
not gonna lie, I listen to your music all the time. So
Thank you.
I'm a fan. The word is out. I'm a fan.
Thank
But
you so much. I appreciate
but
that. It's
Salima says the same thing about her daughter
tell her tell
or your sister. Who'd you say was a Gillian fan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because you have those lyrics. Now, I do have a question for you, Goddess. You work in different dimensions of sound,
yeah.
meaning that we understand that we're all on one realm, but that the realm has different dimensions. So not only are you doing mantras, but you do poetry, you do
Mhm.
music. So these are different dimensions of sound. Some would consider what I'm saying as one dimensional sound, two-dimensional sound, three-dimensional sounds, and four-dimensional sounds, depending on how far ascended they are mentally.
So
What is it like for you to be able to delve from dimensional to dimension with sound? Like, what is the dimension of sound compared to the dimension of poetry? Or what is the dimension of your music? What does that reverberate to you compared to the dimension of your poetry? Because each part of you is intricate, like, and it's full of goddess. You show bring the goddess. You bring her sexuality. You bring her femininity. You bring her masculinity. You bring the testosterone. Everything that enfolds the woman to be who we are today. How do you maneuver sound from one stage, one dimensional stage to another? I don't know if that question makes
Good
sense.
one. Good one.
that's an awesome question. Thank you so much. So I would say the same way how I was saying in the beginning, um, that frequency created as a hit like a bang. Each dimension of sound is like its own pathway that is teaching me. So I started with the chant, right? And then that led me to poetry. So now instead of just repeating the seated mantras or the sounds, it was everything that was stirring in my heart that I wanted to put out. And once I did that, it's like it literally created its own corridor or pathway of experiences. So through the poetry, I began to put it out, and then I don't know, I got pushed to go perform it because this was making me feel more in the space of like you said, the goddess that I had ever felt. Um, and then that eventually led me to the music. So with the poetry, um, I had, like very, I would guess, customary style of poetry, right? The rhyming. And for a while, I almost felt like I was kind of almost trapped in that. Um, but it was when I made the sounds to myself that I'm not, that I began to expand. Um, each of those sounds, the way they would affect me would be completely different. So the poetry when I would write it, um, versus the music when I'm writing it now, is a completely different experience. What I'm hearing now of what I can add and build into music. So I would say that each of them feels um like a building block, but it's like I got into the intricacies of that very specific block first before building on it.
Yeah.
So it's amazing because the music has had opened up so many pathways. So once I started doing the music, right, I got this gig, and it didn't really come to pass, but it's okay because it did what it was supposed to do. And it was supposed to be like in front of quite a few thousands of people though, and I had never performed before. And I was like, okay, I need
Yeah.
to go practice so I don't get up on the stage and put a spot. Like,
All right.
um, and that led me into, okay, well, I got a name like the word witch. How do I want to show up when I come there? And then that opened me up to the fact that, oh, I can style myself pretty well. And then I can promote myself really well. Each of these things took me into deeper and deeper aspects of myself. So again, the way how I said I see sounds, right? It was the sound of performing, but that also came back into how I view myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, sound is helping me to build my self-image.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about it, sound, I think, helps us all to build our own self-image. There's this thing that says if a child is raised with criticism, right, you'll get this result. But if a child is raised with encouragement, you get a different type of result. So sounds are helping us to build our self-image all the time. And one of the things that I carry like in the front of my consciousness all the time that I also used, right? Which was basically like a chant, but it comes from the 11 Laws of God by Ra Amuneter, I believe. And it says, the law of Het Haruk, it is not what you're imagining, it is who is doing the imagining. Are you a human or are you a divine being?
Mm-hmm.
When I like burned that into the front of my consciousness, it was so that I could help myself when I was going through things that were very difficult. Because if you think from only one perspective or viewpoint, the solutions, the feelings, and everything that comes from that are from that self-image aspect. But when
Mm-hmm.
I say, you know what? I'm connected to something greater. This is more than just, it is a human experience, absolutely, but it's more than that. What is happening here? I would change my perspective and then I could see and pick out and pull out everything that I could use from the experience, which was basically showing me a self image. It was showing me like a snapped picture of a self image, like my reaction, the thought process at the time, everything. I began to pull it out and analyze all these different things. And all of it had to
So
do with
it's
sounds. I
it's
was
like a constant, not rediscovery, but repeated discoveries of versions of you or who you were, who you like to be.
absolutely, absolutely. Because when I considered that I'm 42, so where was the music? As a matter of fact, when I speak Spanish, right? I went to the school where every subject was in Spanish.
Mm.
Excuse me. And they had an extensive music program. So I remember they tried me on the recorder, and I don't know what was carrying on. I was blowing too hard. I don't know what I was doing, but they were like, And they tried me on so many different instruments, but I'm not sure if it was the person that was teaching me at the time or
But
what. I had this huge problem of trying to read the music and then find the note and play it. So it'd be like, see, wasn't
yeah,
happening. And no one directly said, Jillian, you can't make music, but it was definitely implied. So at the end of the year, the musical recital, there was children playing the bells. I mean, it was a whole bout child orchestra, and I had the maracas. I was
wow.
holding.
Yeah,
that was that was the and even though keeping the beat, rhythm, arithmetic, ma'at,
yes,
um,
yes.
in my mind's eye, it's they gave me what I could handle. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's how I saw it
Yeah.
in my childlike mind. So I literally walked all these years with the idea that I don't know how to play an instrument. I cannot play an instrument, that I cannot make music. But that's not true at all.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if there's a book that I was reading called Psycho Cybernetics, and he says the strongest force we have is our self-image.
Mm.
So the sounds that we are constantly hearing, like a lot of the music today, I know a lot of people love to debate this and say, we're trying to blame everything on hip hop, and it's not that. Is that I revere hip hop so much, and I understand it is
Mhm.
so it is so catchy and strong and influential that I've
Yeah.
seen I've seen children walking down the street with headphones in and they rapping a song like it's their song. That's how hard they feeling it. So it's something
Right.
that they're building their self-image with. So if the sounds that we are listening to repetitively are giving us a negative self-image, we will take that image on. The same way if we're seeing images all the time that are negative, eventually some places, right? It just gets introduced into the psyche. No, not every single person block, but right? But
Mhm.
it just
You
it
you do
seems
have at least one chant song on your SoundCloud, right?
absolutely
'Cause
yes.
I listen to it every time it comes on in a rotation. I let it play. It's
Thank you.
quite joyful.
Well, actually, those are the sounds that come from a soul house chant. So it's hey, hung, huang, ah, she, yi, wang, yo. I said that the back of my head is like literally tingling. But if you repeat that like 10 minutes a day, you will feel how balanced your energy is. It's almost like this feeling of bliss. You can almost see it on my face now. It's like it starts to feel high. That's how
Right.
said backwards, it will rejuvenate you.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what we need.
It will rejuvenate you.
Ah,
So I have seen how chance can
heal.
alter features in a way. Because think about it, right? We can't truly be solid. And
No.
everybody has probably had this experience before. Something is bothering you and you try to hide it and you go around people and you feel like you're hiding it and immediately they're like, what's wrong? Whatever him is showing on your face. When a person is in a lower state of energy, we can see that. You can see it, you can feel it. When they're in a higher state, you can feel it. The same way how
Earth,
sound.
Wind, and Fire, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Earth, Wind, and Fire made a song about it called "On Your Face."
Mm,
Did you know that?
I didn't. I'm gonna go look that up right after. Right.
EW.
It's
Yes.
amazing to me how much music I didn't listen to. That's another thing because I would I had a very kind of sheltered upbringing, so the music that I was allowed to listen to was like so I wouldn't even really describe myself as a hip hop head, but
Right.
I love music. I used to actually describe it to people that after a while, if I don't go dancing, my body starts to react kind of like Weekend at Bernie's. It's almost like it's moving. But I feel like that rhythm and chant is actually a part of the DNA. That's how deep it is. Because when you see the way we react, right, with certain beats, ceremonial music, the drums will put you into that space of trance. Literally. Like
Yeah,
I have watched this. It is amazing. They said the Zulus they weren't able to beat the Zulus until they removed the drum.
right.
Bible. That's how powerful this is. A lot of places around the world have what's called a war chant or a war cry. And this was an energy that the warriors would use to now build up that energy so that they could go defend their people and their home and their life. This was an energy that they built up by chanting. That's how powerful this thing is. So chanting made me be more careful with what I was saying on a regular out my mouth, even when I wasn't chanting, because I just began to look at all of my speech as a type of chant, some type of way.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Aren't you always really chanting?
Well, there are things that people repeat to themselves. So yeah, I would say yeah. In a way
Like in
we
your mind, even like if
way
you're on
we
a train, on a plane, aren't you always chanting something?
uh, well, they say that some people don't have like an inner voice, apparently. Like they don't hear a voice that's running in their head. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Because I don't know how many I have. but but yeah, whatever we are telling ourselves, and what's even deeper than that is that there's a story that's running, like a programming in the background that most people are not even aware of.
See the
The
see
subconscious.
the chat that I
Yeah.
be putting up.
Oh no, I don't know why it's not. The chat isn't showing.
Oh, okay. Brandon Marcus said it's light language.
Oh, absolutely. Now, light language is very, very powerful. Light language is what a lot of people would call speaking in tongues.
Really?
And yes, right? Because, okay, so for instance, let me start here. A lot of people, they'll see a video of people in church catching the Holy Ghost, right? And there's a lot of footwork.
Yes.
And some people, yes, they're falling to the ground. Some people, it's just a performance. But some people, when they get tapped in like that and you start seeing their footwork, if you cross reference it all across the world, right?
Mhm.
When there's people in Benin and certain African ceremonies, you see that
Mhm.
foot moving super fast, super super fast. In New Orleans, they have a type of juk, right? And if it looks like a slowed down version of that.
Okay.
Even the Irish, right? When they have um that step line dancing, like
Mhm.
that, even the dancing is a form of, I feel like, chant to the body, because what chant is doing is raising vibrations in the body. The same way I said the Om is going to cause different parts of the body to ring,
Mhm.
right? So when some of them going in tongues, yes, this is a something that just begins to happen to you. You can actually locate it under information about Kundalini rising sometime
Oh
season,
yeah.
right? And this is a language that you have never studied per se, right? But super, super powerful. Um, I've gone into light language for a few people and they freeze, like they can't move. That's how strong the magnetic field is that is coming from this. And it is healing.
Mhm.
Um, light language can be used to cut cords. For people, it can be used to do it is pure power right now.
Mhm.
And most of the time, I can't even give you an exact translation in English. I can tell you what the feeling was. I can tell
Mhm.
you like what the energy, you know what I'm saying, of it was. Um,
Sister, let me get Salima had her hand up. What up?
Goddess,
You can tap into something, Jillian.
I have a question for you. This is a personal question. Are you in a relationship?
yes.
Okay.
Oh
Because
my.
I ask because when there are women like us, we become so tunnel vision and focused on what we're doing. Do you sometimes find that your chanting space may feel like you are with your significant other, because like it has become a romantic partner to you in some forms,
Um,
without disrespecting your physical romantic partner, you know.
um, I feel like when I began to tap into the space of wanting to really be with Holy Spirit, let the Spirit flow through me. Yes, it felt like love on the deepest level, to where even if I'd be singing love songs while I was in the car, I would be singing them to Spirit as a person. Um, yes, it's but I feel like the love affair happened with myself because where the space that I was coming from, I I I'm coming from far. I didn't believe much about myself at all, at all. And I think the gifts and the things that are coming out now kind of show how apparent that is. Again, because people be having things about them and they don't step up to follow that through because they don't even believe in themselves. So I feel like chanting was one of the ways that I could connect with Holy Spirit. And there are so many. There are so many, but it definitely became one of the ways that I could see the energy working within my life. And it became so real and so concrete to me that yes, it was like knowing that I always have this energy with me, in me, on my side, like, and then what it did was allow me to create better boundaries in my life so that
Right.
I could be around and with people, both platonic, relationship wise, friendship wise, that make room for this for me. Like really, really allow me to be myself. And the journey is just is crazy. She
Do
been
you think do you think that well, did you see when Beyonce went on the Oprah show and revealed that who Sasha Fierce was? Or
I think I saw snippets of it.
okay, so she says like when she's ready to perform, like
Mhm.
somebody else takes over.
Mm.
Okay, so I would figure if somebody else takes over, then she called them. They don't
Yes.
just know to take over, right?
Well, here's the thing. With with right celebrities and Hollywood and things like that, there's so much. Um, and I can't speak for her and what she does. But I don't know if she's saying that she's calling forth another one from the inside. It could be something as simple as like dissociative identity disorder, which happens when people go through so much trauma that the brain splits itself. It will literally create another personality. And this is a part of like
Hold on, hold on. But Nicki Minaj says the same thing, and they're describing it as that like to me it looks like it's learned behavior. No
like
matter what, like someone taught them to chant or something to bring this um, alter ego up. You know, the one that performs the best, so they're a smash hit every time.
yeah,
I
That's
like
what I got out of it. Huh?
um
because I remember when I can't remember his name, but he does Pretty Wings and all of that, and he had a big problem
Maxwell.
mhm,
performing on stage. He was very shy. So
mhm.
as I think that we take for granted that we see these entertainers up there and that they just know how, but often they have these disorders where we ourselves couldn't perform in a crowd that large. So
Right.
I think that's their way of putting up a shield or a defense mechanism so that they can perform where, whereas regular people, like, we might be overwhelmed, like I'm standing in front of 10,000 people, I'm stuck.
Right.
Whereas these people have to learn how to create shields and chants or even these outside personas to help them get through this performance.
Well, yeah, I mean, so um again, there are so many avenues, right? So um I watched a thing and it said there are like about maybe 5 million Americans that are unknowingly in MK Ultra programs. So this is where, remember we said chant is powerful, period. It's whatever you use it for. So in
Mm,
this, certain people can go through specific types of trauma, right? And again, the brain will split itself. And yes, they can literally program a specific persona. But it's also because they also understand how the brain works, right? Um, and there's a word that literally can trigger them into this other personality.
right.
Um, what's interesting is that they like to say Geminis have a lot of different personalities, and I remember like I did so much of resisting a lot of things, and then I'd be like, well, let me try this idea on. So I was like, okay, let me name them one day. And somebody was telling me, that's dangerous, blah, blah, blah. But it was just a way to help me observe when I was basically switching perspectives and stuff. So before I'm going on stage, because yes, I don't know, I'm coming from a place of huge social anxiety. Huge. Like it's crazy because I have a severe sensitivity, right? So even a sister one time, she called me and she was getting ready to go up on stage and do something. And I told her, I was like, I want you to imagine in your mind's eye, like a coat, like the most luxurious, beautiful coat you can think of. And she was like, okay. I was like, this is your goddess coat. You're gonna step and you're gonna put it over you. Not that you need this coat to be the goddess, but until you can tap into it and pull it out, you're gonna wear this coat every time you go up on stage. And she called me back later. I was like, now when you wearing this coat, how you gonna walk? How are you gonna talk? How are you going to display yourself? You got on the goddess, the great mother's coat. And she called me later. She was like, yeah, that was crazy. Like I was amazing because, and see, it was just self-image. So, I really can't speak for them and what's happening and what they're doing and all that stuff. But um, do I use like that type of energy? Because who I have always thought Jillian Brown to be is apparently not who I am. So yes, like before it started, I was talking about the energy of transformation and to see yourself as something different. And then I said, law of Haru. It's not it's not what you're imagining. It is who is doing the imagining. So that means I had to blow my mind. I had to begin to actually see that I am worthy to carry this energy of goddess. Because when people started using this title, it was like, and I had so much stuff that I still had to fix, and so much stuff that I was still going through, and it was like, but now it doesn't feel like that because I'm fully stepping into it, and I'm like, okay, I really got goddess energies behind me, and they're pushing me to represent, and I'm bold enough. That's what
Boom.
I am actually, through the social anxiety, through any of the beliefs before thought, through any of the chanted repetitions of what was not true, all of that is broken. So it just continues me to place myself in situations that are completely outside of my comfort zone, and I'm discovering who I am.
Hmm.
Chance.
Hmm. And
So
you're doing a fantastic job. You're doing.
yeah, thank you,
I'm seeing the transformation myself.
thank you,
I see it. I definitely see it.
I
thank you.
definitely have. I
We've
met
been
you a few
around.
years ago and did a couple of matriarch panels with you. And I have seen your work grow. I have seen your music grow, your poetry.
Yeah,
You are just a phenomenal woman. And
and
thank
you
you for
deserve it.
that answer.
You deserve it.
I really
You know,
telling
it's
somebody,
your work.
this is not. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even think it's my story. Like I think it's for a lot of people. I was told that a while ago. This is definitely to show and to connect people back to hope, and health. And that even when you think there's nothing that you have and nothing that you can do, because I mean, I don't know, that's how I felt. I felt stuck in life. I felt stagnant in life, like there
Mm.
was nothing I could do. So if you can talk still, I'm saying to people, there's something you can do. Like that's where it started. It started with my thoughts and then making my words and my the energy from my throat match that, you know? So and that's called alignment. Right? So
Mhm.
I don't even think it's so much of having to create and all this other stuff. I think we just need to align with who we truly are. That repetitively, somewhere along the lines, we've had programs given to us that are really not the truth.
And check
That
this out.
yes.
When we do get to a place where we can feel a spiritual growth and we're chanting now and we know what we're supposed to be doing, um, the change that's happening, are we feeling the change as it's happened, or are we waking up one day saying, "Oh, I got the contract"? I mean, are we remembering the stages that we went through before you got the contract, and how you even, I wish we could, I wish some people from the audience were on here. Goddess Original said she's seen a ghost or a spirit or whatever you want to call them. I'm saying, like, once is chanting gateway. Finally came to me what I was trying to get at.
Okay. So I would say yes, but everything is a gateway. Everything is some type of gateway, you know? So
So what
people
is it a gateway to then?
well, it would depend on what you're chanting, right? Because
Mhm.
even if I'm seeding sounds of destruction to myself. Um, it's interesting. I used to be a ruminator. I could not control my thoughts before. I was a ruminator. Something would get in there, and then I would go looking for, oh my God, oh my God,
Yes.
eating itself alive. And and so for me, chant was a gateway to me learning how to control my thoughts and my energy. That's what it was for me. I think that people need to understand that intention is a huge thing with whatever they go into. It's a huge thing. Um, so the same way people are saying amen after every single one of their prayers, that's a gateway. And you know, like before, when I am coming from Christianity, the way how it was described to me is yes means I'm in agreement with. It was never taught to me that this was the actual name. You know what I'm saying? I was just told that it means I'm in agreement with. But they would say, you know, in someone's name first and then say that. That's a gateway. So everything is a gateway. You know what I'm saying? So I would, if anybody wants to get into chant, again, if they want to stay away from mantras or seated sounds until they do their own research into it, that's fine. Choose your own word and then look up what transcendental meditation is. It's also a great way to start to get into 0 point meditation because for most people in the beginning, that's very hard. Your mind is just active. And so the more you try to sit there quietly, is the more you start seeing how many thoughts are just passing through there. So transcendental is like 1 point meditation because now it's going to give your mind one specific thing to focus on. I think
Oh, so
when
you,
she
I'm sorry, Jillian. So you're chanting, but you really want to shut your mind down, and this visions appearing, correct?
well, transcendental, not so much down. You're just giving it a point to focus, like a
Okay.
specific thing. Because most of us don't actually really know how to focus, right? When I was in school and they'd be like, focus, I would just squint because it looked like I was just paying attention, but I wasn't. My mind was all over the place. So there were specific things that I began to do to teach me how to focus and how to hold focus
Mhm.
because that way the things that I wanted became a decision versus a preference when you hold focus.
Mhm.
So I see some people they'd wake up and be like, you know, I was in a good mood today until such and such happened. I was gonna have a good day until but
Ugh.
you didn't want a good day like that because what you're saying that happened isn't like a huge thing, and yet now you're giving all the power to that thing for taking away your good day. But if
Right.
you decided to have a good day, you would actually focus on that, put less focus on the thing that just merely annoyed you for a few moments, and then you'd continue to have a good day. So these things were not only beginning to seed in new sounds for a better self-image, they were also in the background teaching me focus. So I would also say that chant is a discipline, right? Some people get the beads, and this is how, and they push them through the hand, and then when they get to the end, this is how they know they did that many chants, right? Some people don't use the beads, but
That's what
regard,
they for?
yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. So like every time you push one, and then when it gets to the very end, right, that's when you know you've done all as many as you're supposed to do. So I think they're called mala beads,
Okay.
but it can be used for multiple purposes. But yes, within your chant and chant meditation, they're very powerful tools. But um anything that we're repeating to ourselves again, and I think people just aren't really aware of how many things, like, and it's amazing, especially with the space of the influence of social media. Anything right now can become um like a mantra or a repetitive
Right.
thing, like
Absolutely.
the next phrase is just waiting tomorrow to come through, and then it will be across the board. Like right now you'll see everybody's saying standing on business, but they're using this instead of saying boundaries, right?
Hmm.
So yes, it's like sticking with your word. But we heard that as a mantra a long time ago when it was told to us, let your yes mean yes and your no mean no.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Brandon said that it's 108 of them, and it's a set number that causes chemical change in the body to embody the chant.
Mhm.
So the body is chanting, and the chant has to be embodied.
Yes, yes. Because you
Okay, what?
that energy. And yes, that's true. Like I was saying, they changed the brain waves, right? So when he's saying chemically, this is true. I remember I
Mhm.
used to say, what people calling or experiencing God, I believe is the correct combination of chemicals.
Mm.
Do you often find yourself with the ability to, because you talked about chanting helps us focus, which is very much true. So when you're having, um, say, creative tidal waves,
Mm.
because creatives like us, we have creative tidal waves. Like I write books, I write poetry, I'm doing it all. I'm doing these lives. So, and I'll find that I'm doing literally writing a book, writing a poem, writing curriculum. All I mean, doing farm work all at the same time, and then I'll find myself on burnout. Like, but even though it's all related together, even though they all interconnect together, it's in one focus. Now it's not for me. So now I'm on this multi one channel, but multi-dimensional shit to do on this channel, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, for me, I don't know, like lately, like learning my organization or how or just focusing on what is like most prominent right now. Because yes, like those tidal waves hit sometimes and it's like right. And I realized, like, I don't know, I just began to, another thing that I say all the time is perspective places power, right? So I don't know, I would just calm myself down, like it's here, the information is here, come out. But what would I like to do like right now, like to push out this next project? And so I might work with maybe two or three at a time. Um, but even though I might be wanting to work with 17, I'll just, for me personally, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't think cookie cutter works for everybody. And, but that's what I'm learning to do. I'm learning how to narrow down the focus so that I can, I don't know, kind of power pack that creative tidal wave into a smaller amount of projects at the time. So for instance, like my first book, like, I don't know, I didn't really have like that much confidence in myself and believe that people would even want to like read what I was writing. So I can tell that that product from what I'm getting ready to put out soon is gonna be completely different because of me really, really like taking that creative tidal wave and saying, this is inspiration, right? It's coming from source. So I'm gonna really like just put my whole foot in just this right now. And everything that's there is still there. And there's a time and place for it all. And and I don't know, just to see myself as a vessel to be used for that. So but yes, like when it's hitting there's so much. Um I don't what I use is something called like the 5 second rule. So when I get inspired, like or an idea, I'll write it down or connect to some physical activity so that it's still there, even if I'm not gonna completely go through with that one. Because because it's also sometimes based on my moods. So I also don't like to like force it or you know what I mean? I just like to really allow it to flow. So for me personally, that's where I am now, learning like I don't know how to control that and just let myself like flow and and be okay with it. Really like just be okay with it.
So somebody said the goddess original wanted to know who you were chanting to, and then I guess Brandon answered her. But how you feel about, are you chanting to the ether, to yourself, to the
Absolutely,
goddess in you?
to source, to the goddess in me, to either, but mostly to source. I saw my chant as what people would call a conversation with God, which is everywhere. So that for me inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was the embodiment that I felt. It was the energy that I felt afterwards. Like a connection to something that was opening up more pathways for solutions for me. So whereas the perception before was that I was stuck and stagnant, after chanting, my position completely changed.
Your dreams are coming true.
I'm not stuck and stagnant at all. So it was almost like being shown an internal mirror, but also seeing that yes, you have this in there, but you also gonna have to put in the work, right? So that you can embody this energy, so you can bring it to for in the body to be used. And it's interesting. Like I was talking with a Christian the other day, and I was like, but when God wanted to work here, didn't He send flesh and blood?
Hmm.
Isn't that what He did? And they were like, yeah. I was like, okay, what are we? Flesh and blood. So
Yeah.
you know,
And gods.
yeah. So it's being able to see yourself as a vessel to be used in this way. Um, but are there people who chant to very specific energies? Absolutely. But that's why I said, like, you know, I feel like um to be fair to the information, that there's so much research that goes into that. And it's also I remember meeting this Mayan shaman, and he said to me, Todos los dioses están en su corazón, which means all the gods are in your heart.
Mm.
And it was just it was this beautiful feeling because that's what that's how most people will show you. So even if they were to give you a specific name, like the goddess of riches and luxury and beauty, Lakshmi, right? This would still be an energy that you would be pulling forth inside yourself, and not necessarily so much that. And this is not worship of another of an entity or a deity. I I know most people might not agree with this statement, but I don't know. To me, it felt like worship of self. That's what it felt like. It felt like being able to actually see that, yes, there's a part of God inside me. So I would also need to worship myself. I would also need to take care of myself. I would also need to focus on myself so that I could pull the energy forward so I could walk with it.
Let me add 2 cents. So isn't that really what Amen was saying? Because people Christians refuse to believe who Amen is. They think it just means so be it. And we're telling you, no, Amen was a god worshipped all over and very popular. And that's him y'all calling after your prayer. Yeah, you call it Amen. That's not a fucking coincidence.
See, and that's what I'm
But
saying. All
and
those
he's
years,
the hidden one, right?
yeah,
That's us.
but all those
Inside
years,
of all of us is the God that we're looking for out there.
absolutely.
That's
But
what I go with.
I was never taught that. So I don't know. I don't know. I haven't had conversation. Are they actually refusing to believe that when they could?
They no, they would never act like there's another God named Amen that they would say after every prayer. That would be sacrilegious to them.
Well, it's because in the repetitive chants given to them in certain religions, it is. It comes with a lot of fear around it. When this first started happening to me, like it took so much from me not to demonize myself. It took so much because I had no reference. I had no um back in the day, I feel like if we had not been interrupted, there would have been an oral tradition would have given to me. Somebody would have said, Jill, okay, you're a priestess. When you get to this age, this type of stuff was gonna start happening to you. And so the introduction around that would have been completely different. This is the same way how when I became more conscious, I wasn't able to really do it with my older daughter because I didn't have that perspective at that time. But my youngest one, when she got her cycle, I was like, you're coming into a woman now. Like the way that I brought it to her was different versus, yeah, you just every month, Miss Finna. Oh, it was a completely different viewpoint and almost like something to like celebrate and let her know like how amazing this is that runs with our body. It's something different because of the way I see it now. So I could see why, yes, when you've been like there's a specific, religion and they refer to it as the truth. So if
Yeah.
I were to say with a specific set of ideas to you for 10 years straight, this is the truth, this is the truth, this is the truth, this is
Yeah.
the truth, this is the truth. Are you in the truth? Is there the truth? This is the truth. Anything after that 10 years that I told you that's outside of that mindset is going to automatically register to your brain as a lie. As
Yes.
true.
Cognitive dissonance.
So
Cognitive dissonance.
yeah,
That's what it
it, it's deep. It's deep. Again, those things that we're repeating to ourselves is deep. So beyond the fear, beyond all of that, I needed to know who I was and what was happening to me because I don't know. Like I was trying to figure out, is this mental illness? Is it what is happening? But it was a feeling energy out of me. I'm serious because it just hit out of nowhere. So and there's right now we're having a huge shift and lots of people's consciousnesses are big banging. It's hitting all of a sudden with different things out of nowhere.
Mhm.
And so to actually be one of those energies now that people can talk to and can say you can say the wildest thing to me and I'm be like, okay, that's what's up. Like so now because the things that I've experienced now expanded my consciousness to the level where I can make room for those things without thinking that a person's crazy, without bringing them to that judgment, and that helps a lot of people because I don't know, I went super rejection because of it, which I realized later on was the birth canal. Those people were forming the birth canal for me to be birthed into the newer version of myself, and I'm so grateful to them. Also, I didn't used to see it like that. I was cussing their ass left
So it don't come with no instructions, do it.
because now I feel way more me, authentically me, and the energy is just completely different. What I do in my time is completely different. I kicked one vice and put three things in its place. It's like I was like, yo, I was using so much energy, effort, focus, time on certain things, on certain people, and it was obvious that that's not what I was supposed to be doing. It's obvious.
Right.
But I was chanting certain things to myself at the time. And
Right.
that like our thoughts are basically chants. You know what I mean? So sometimes
So are your thoughts like your own? Like you don't want people to know what you're chanting, or do you? Or you don't care?
I mean, so there's
Are
group
they
chant.
private? Are they private?
Well, when you're chanting, if you're doing it by yourself, like for transcendental, it's done when you just say it internally in the mind quietly. But are there chants and all that? Absolutely. So, um, I mean, no, I mean, there's lots of chants that are already there. Like I said, for different things. So these aren't necessarily private. I don't see it like that. But that time and energy and space that I take while I'm chanting,
Mhm.
yes, to be private so it's uninterrupted so I can feel that embodiment so that I can connect with the energy well, that type of thing. But other than that, no, it's not so much that it's like a
So, so is it another form of meditation?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Because like as Brandon was stating, it can chemically change, right? Your
Right.
makeup, brain waves. So how you come out feeling on the other end, blissful, connected,
Hmm.
uh, which is definitely a lot how I feel when I come out of meditation. So so and walking can be a meditation, breathing can be
Hmm.
a meditation. Um,
Right. True.
but specifically, and I do feel like that I did have a blocked throat chakra at the time. I didn't know how to speak up for myself without doing it super forcefully or angrily, and now I can. Now I can just articulate a lot of things and be like, all right.
Okay.
Um, so for me personally, I feel like it just incorporated a lot of things. But when I began to see like how powerful it was, it just reiterated to me how powerful thoughts and speech are, period.
And what about your throat chakra?
Oh,
That's got to play a big part in
open that.
your ability to play with sounds.
Yes. I think because even now, like before it was just a lot of the rapping, and now I'm like loosening up to get into the singing. But when I first started, I felt a block there. Like I didn't know how to um let it flow for real. I just
Mhm.
and I was don't want to hear me singing. They don't heard me rap. But again, that was just one of those silly things I was chanting back to myself that I'm finding out is not true. So um it definitely helped to open up my throat chakra. It definitely helped me to speak up for myself, um, and speak to myself better. Definitely. Started to align me with a lot of opportunities. And people began to even compliment me more on my voice. I remember years ago, people used to tell me all the time, I can't hear you. Speak up. I can't hear you. And that sounded so loud in my own ear and in my mind. But apparently I wasn't. I was blocked. I was projecting to myself that I was speaking loud and speaking up for myself, but I wasn't. So it's amazing now, like going in the studio, getting up on stage, things like that. And I'm like, okay, my voice is a super asset. It's a super asset to me. And the arrangement of the words or the things that we want to repeat, which in songs they call hooks, right? Which they generally say is like the catchiest part of the song. That's what certain things will tell you. That's how you sell the song. You know what I'm saying? A hook. So I'm so sorry. Sorry. So that just having the ability now to project from my voice the way I do with this confidence level is like it's
Hmm.
a I don't I don't I don't know. I'm
So
what?
I gotta know, who is your favorite female rapper of all time?
Hey.
Yes, yes. Good answer, Jillian.
No, but like I won't lie, like and it's funny because there's still so much of these women's music that I haven't truly heard, but um, hearing a lot of times the skill level of of Nicki Minaj. Like I like her writing.
For
Um,
real?
yeah, I love Salt and Pepper because that's what I would listen to back in the day.
Okay.
Really. And I like
Okay.
the fact that that they were a woman's group. I don't know. I don't know. I
Right.
just really like that
Right.
about Queen Latifah back in the day.
Right.
Um,
So is the light too strong for you or what? MC
I'm
Light? The light?
oh, MC Light. I love MC Light. I like. I don't know. And all of them that got up there to do their thing. Even even if like I get it, right? We have to be careful with the way it's influencing certain age groups. But even when there was a strong push of women to begin to rap about their sexuality, and a lot of people was really upset. I was like, okay, now we're finally seeing it, right? Because this was always talked about in rap from the men, always.
Right.
So, um, like I would tell people, a lot of things sometimes it's like a hose, like if you were to step on a hose and stop and block that flow of that water, it's a lot of buildup on the back end. And after
Hmm.
your foot off, it's gonna like explode out at first. And then then it'll balance out. It'll trickle over. So I just felt like that's what we were watching versus, people thinking like, I don't know. I just felt like, I mean, this has kind of always been a thing. It's kind of always been there in its expression somewhere. I think it just got.
So Ashley just volunteered to pay some tithings. She said this is better than Sunday service.
Oh my God.
Let's gotta pause and take a little service break.
I
Check it
got a
out.
question. I got a
Just
question for the goddess. Okay, since we're talking about the feminine divine and our sexuality, especially within the lyrics of rap, now, goddess, you always go straight to the jugular. I have heard your raps. I have seen your videos. Yes.
yes,
And only one video I want to compare to that a little bit, which is a young lady who I rarely listen to. Her name is Lotto, but she came out with a song called Pussy. And I don't know if you've ever heard that, but she talked a lot of political, sexual, goddessness in that song about ovaries. She went everywhere.
oh,
She went everywhere, and I feel like there's a difference in the lyrics when we're speaking on our sexuality, our abilities of our sexuality, and not just as these cute little kittens and dolls and arm candy, but that we are the reason why the nation is still alive, why we go on. So when I hear you talk like that and the dominance that, not that you are requesting or asking for, but that you live by,
Yes.
because you refuse to live with anything else. Describe that feeling when you know you're going to put the feminine divine's sexuality on pen and paper, that you know it's going to be out there for the world to see, and that what you're saying is not just based on, oh baby, this feels good, but let me show you something.
Okay. So right when I'm in the flow of it, it's like whatever. Like, yeah, it's but I won't lie. Like right before I'm getting to release it, I understand. I understand where people's mindsets are. Um, that so much of sexuality has been brought to us via shame. I also understand that a lot of people aren't able to separate sexuality and sensuality. A lot of right. Okay, so your sexual energy is your life force. So orgasm, organization, organ. There's an energy in the East that they called org, or like I used to create organs. Right? This is this is a resin filled and metal mix that can literally help block electro low magnetic frequencies. We know what the organs do. This is for the root. the orgasm. When people are in the middle of an orgasm, mind, body, and spirit is all one. Don't matter. Maybe afterwards you got to split and you like, oh, whatever. But during that moment, it's nothing but that. And when I connect to source, that's what it feels like all the time. It is pure bliss. It's like org energy. So um, I feel like the fact that I've been given the ability to explain these things and go deep into them, but also manipulate the words around it that way, I think is an awesome thing. And that's why I do it because there's still so many of us, even gone through so much of our life, still walking with that shame. And I feel like that's an energy that was given to us. That is a practice that was given to us, and it is super transformative if done in the right way. I tell people sex is a technology. It is a technology. So if done correctly, when that woman taps out, she's gonna be traveling the cosmos and she's gonna come back with all types of information. And to me, this is actually the true basis, like for a power couple. If people were to truly understand that. But because most times now sex is only taught through porn, you have a lot of people who are not satisfied, don't even know how to speak up for themselves, block throat chakra, will stick something in their mouth, but cannot tell their partner that they are not pleased. So it seems to me, again, like I feel like sometimes even when people are hearing these songs and things like that, it's almost giving them permission to act it out or role play right through another energy until they can become comfortable enough to literally be able to get into that space themselves. Because it's an energy that we all feel that hits us all. And yet, when children are growing up and starting to have that thing, we will tell them it's nasty. How? It's the same energy that's hitting everybody on earth. Instead, we explain to them actually how to handle it and how to control it and not to be led by a microsystem of the body. It is like, and then that creates a lot of behavior sometimes that is over explorative and things like that because it's always been so suppressed. So it feels like an honor to be honest, and it feels like also like almost like a duty at this point because there's a lot of friends that I used to talk to about it and people's positioning, and even at one point I was even doing like couples counseling. So because I guess I could tap into that feminine and masculine energy and then make both parties feel like they were being heard and then link them at the end. You know what I'm saying? So okay, now you don't need a mediator anymore. Now y'all can talk and say these things to each other. So so I don't know. I mean, I love it. I love being able to do it and it actually feels comfortable. I feel like there are people that came here or get tapped into specific types of knowledge. And I think just the same way with all that variety that we see in nature, that's how we are as people.
Mhm.
So that's why I said, like, I don't cookie cutter people and allow
It's,
people to come through and bring that information to the fore that they need to bring because all of it is needed. Because
I, I got a question. Do you know who Sylvia is in the entertainment business? Just
Sylvia,
one word, Sylvia. Yeah.
no, no.
Jillian, we so gonna talk after this. Check
It's
this out. Sylvia literally like chants in her song. She had songs called like Have You Had Any Lately? Um she's got some famous ones too. I'm trying to think of the famous one. But actually, like those stories they be telling about getting into the R&B, I think it was they had to go through Sylvia. Sylvia and her husband at one point was running Hollywood practically if you wanted to get a contract. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I'm thinking the Mickey Howard. Do you know who Mickey Howard is? She made a song called "Love Under New Management," right? So her story was on. the big screen and all. And they was showing a lot how Sylvia, I think it was Sylvia and her husband, was the ones that not paying them and
Mm.
getting away with all this stuff and renting their shit, putting them out there, and then they have to pay all that back, and they didn't get no check. She was the one who was
Never
doing
knew.
that, but she was known as a like a sexually chanting, soft, purry ass. Um, I'm definitely gonna send you her one of her songs that was out big. If I wouldn't have turned my phone off, I would have looked it up. But
Like
anyway,
song. A couple of
it's
them.
a really, really popular song. Really popular. Everybody knows it.
I remember Angela Bofield doing some chanting on some of her songs.
Mm.
Yeah, of course.
You know what's sometimes I feel like scat sometimes sounds like slowed down like language.
Right, like a Etta James or something.
Yes, yes, scat is like because they were just channeling sounds. That's
Her
what it
name
sounds.
was
But
her
the
name was Sylvia Robinson.
Sylvia, that's funny. That was my maiden name. Okay. Not that I'm married now. I got divorced, but that was
Yeah.
but was
Jillian, I don't know what your time frame was. I know how busy you are, but I had started writing down questions and shit. I said I better ask you what your
yes
time is like.
part because I don't know why my son stopping me around the corner like this.
What time is it? Oh, yeah, yeah. We definitely don't want to hog your time. We are so grateful. When you said you was coming on, we both had the same expression. I promise
Thank
you.
y'all so much. Thank y'all so
Yeah,
much.
this
Oh, we
is great. I gotta
because I
I
definitely
gotta ask you one of these questions. Look, do you know who Smooth is? The R&B rapper Smooth from the '90s. She made a song called "You've Been Played."
no
Okay,
no.
so that's on my list too, along with. All right, yeah, we're gonna get into it. You
Great.
would love Sylvia, and you would love Smooth.
Oh,
Smooth, Smooth was R&B, but her first album was all rap. Her second album was all singing, and then her third, she mixed them all in, and she's great at both of them. She's kind of like bossy, like you would love her. She introduced the group Immature to the
okay.
world, but
Yes,
yeah,
please.
your style reminds me of a lot of old school people apparently who you haven't even seen before. I'm gonna be sharing a lot of stuff with you
Please.
physically, but
Because
your style is hold
when
up,
I
hold up, hold
certain
up.
things give me permission. Like I don't know, like all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, okay. So yes, please send it all.
I gotta get this last question out, and then I'll see if Salima got one more. But when I was writing my book, I couldn't really read all of those books that were out there that everybody else was reading because I didn't want them to change my style of writing. So I didn't read no books while I was writing my book. And at one point, it took me a long fucking time to write my book. But anyway, do you ever feel like you don't want, you don't want to listen to no other artist yet because you're working on writing your own shit? Does
Oh,
that happen with you, or it's okay for you to be getting other people's sounds and ideas in your mind?
so when I first started realizing that I could do music, I stopped listening to all music. The
Yeah,
only thing in my head was mine. And I think it was because I was trying to figure out, do I have a style? Like,
yeah,
again, this was something brand new. So I don't know. And I feel like it was probably more channeling than anything, right? It was that focus. And it was it was a way for me to delve into myself for self discovery real deep. So, no, I wasn't listening to a lot of music at all. And then I reconnected with a friend, and then they started sending me a lot of music. And at first, I'm not gonna lie, like my feeling was like, ugh, like. But then I had missed so much that was coming out, and so much music styles that people were doing that, like I said, it just opened me up, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, because I had never looked at. music from an analytical place before. It was just like, okay, but now the fact that I'm looking, breaking down the verses, where something sounds good at a break. The crazy part is I don't even have music theory. Like I'm just now beginning to learn music theory, so I can put, because where I want to take this to is uh is growing bigger and bigger. So I began to look at information about how there are certain music professors that have been put now in cancer research, and they are refining frequencies that are literally blowing up cancer. Uh,
Mhm.
that's important. So now I'm thinking about placing out music that has more of the singing.
Tell a goddess she breaking up.
Oh,
Breaking up, goddess.
can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
now I can.
All right. So yeah, now that I'm going to is wanting to involve more frequencies in the music. So I don't know how far it's gonna go. Um,
That's Selima's grandchild, not mine.
oh, so
Is it? No. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
I just want to I don't know, ride it as far as it could take me because again, I just keep discovering more and more of self in it. So um now I'm working with tuning forks. Now because
Whoa.
it's frequency period that I'm interested in. So I I even can tell certain songs like of my own that I play and how it'll alter my own frequency or get me super hype in a certain energy or something like that. I'm like really paying attention to it now, not just what I'm putting out, but also what I'm taking in. So
Does it look like this?
yes.
You think you can help me with mine one day?
Absolutely. Oh man, they are so powerful. They are so powerful. And so again, right? And it's a frequency that starts to play, but rings through the whole body. And it's gonna start altering the energy in the body.
That's
So
why I bought it. That's what
absolutely.
I heard. Yeah.
Um, and even the singing bowls, right? A lot of people don't understand like one of the hidden sciences behind that is how many times they tap it can connect to certain constellations before they play.
Wow.
Even that,
My window? You
I
see
said,
my window behind me?
yes. So everything is a gateway. You know what I'm saying? It's just
Right.
that's where you trying to go and where you trying to take it to, and the intention behind it. And I just made it really clear to spirit. Like I just want all of this to know you, to know spirit, to understand how,
Okay.
and then be very responsible with that. Cause it's real. It's real. I have felt frequencies that felt like they was yoking me up. It's real. So I don't play with it. I don't, not in that way. I discover and explore, but I don't play with it. Like I don't try to use it for, I don't know, just crazy stuff. There's no need. There's so much focus and self-discovery. It's like, what? So yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to see how far it's gonna go. And like I said, where I'm being led as far as the research of the music goes and how deeply it affects.
Hmm.
Last things I wanted to bring up though about chant, one of my favorite videos on all of YouTube. You can find under if you type in medicineless hospital in Tibet. And this is a video of a woman who had a tumor in her bladder and she was told that it's inoperable, there's nothing that they can do. And in this video, I think it's Greg Brady, but he shows how the practitioners in Tibet, it's three of them, they have learned to chant and create the feeling of resonation between each other. So that's another thing with music I'm learning lately is resonation. um, and the word that they chant was wasa. And it's not a magical word, he says. It just means already done. So they have learned to create the feeling between the three of them that the person is already healed, what it would feel like to be in the presence of a healed person. And on a split screen through ultrasound, you watch in 2 minutes and 30 seconds as this woman's tumor shrinks.
Whoa.
That's how powerful chant is. Okay.
Wow.
And
That's
connect to it. And again, so that's not a seated sound. That's
right.
the word in their language that means already done. But
Mm,
that's how powerfully they connected. And these three people, right? And I'm sure there's other practitioners, but that's how deep they went into it. Just past be, is not a person off the street just saying what's up. This is a person who is
hmm
going so deep into the sound
Right.
of
They,
already what that
they
feels
vibrating.
and able to embody it and bring it forward, and they healed it. So that
Yes.
to this day is one of my favorite videos on YouTube. And I remember showing it to somebody and realizing how far people's mindsets are because the person was like, like they couldn't believe it. There was no space in their expansion for them to fathom,
Random.
consider that that's how
Yeah.
powerful they are. So when I talk about embodying through the chant, and there was a time where I was putting up all my chants were about you have to embody the energy now. Like there's a song where he's like, and I know, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. That's how much you gotta know.
Damn.
The saying, I know. He was like, I know. Deep. How many times did he say it to give you the feeling of how deep he knew that? That's
And
the same. It's
everybody loved that part.
exactly exactly falls back down in history. But but that's what it is. That's how powerful it is. So I'll also send you that link afterwards if you like. So
Absolutely.
you can put that up on the channel because to this day, every time I watch it, it's like right. So it was just really connecting certain ideas. If you then connect that same thing with Dr. Emoto's water experiment, and we
Yeah.
are 80% water, and the words that he put on the water, on the container, change the shape of the water, then the words that you're chanting are going to change the shape of the water in you. So you hear people say, oh my God, that moved me. I was moved. You are
hmm
really in the water in yourself. That's why sometimes you move so much you start to cry. Pushing water out of you. This is how much you are giving yourself a new form, a new shape, a new way, a new thought, a new neural link and programming for yourself. That's how deep it is. So, um, like again, the sounds are seeded. So if someone doesn't want to start there, just start with giving yourself a one syllable word and look up transcendental meditation. Because if this thing was affecting the environment, and again, so some people have heard the word Orisha, Maharishi effect. You can see the words and how they're there all over the place, right? So Irish, like the energy has been everywhere, and every culture has sounds that they chant or seed. So um again, it's just gonna bring you back to the power of your own throat chakra. It's gonna bring you back to the power of your own thoughts and of your own words. And eventually you might not even use those seeded sounds as much. Um, but I love chants. I have one that I do, and it's for the energies of the goddess. And I think I have like as a video. So I can also send that to you if not,
Yeah.
or
All you can.
and I could do a live chant session.
I was gonna ask you, but I didn't know how shy you was.
I'm open to it. I'm good.
Let's hear something.
But I do have to run now, ladies. But I thank you so much. I
You
appreciate
can't
it.
do a piece of chant on your way out. Wish us
Sure.
all peace and
Greetings
love
and
in the chat.
salutations, Julie, and gratitude. Thank you so much. I just love listening to you. All the information you brought was just phenomenal and fantastic.
For real, for real.
So
Yeah,
you
this
want
is
what chant is what you're
yeah, like
saying?
a peace and love, some positive affirmation energy you can
Um,
send our way.
okay. So
Whatever.
this again is for the energies of the goddess, and it's very powerful, and I can write it for you and send it to you. It's Om Bhakta Saubhagya Dayinye Namaha. Om Bhakta Saubhagya Dayinye Namaha. Om Bhakta Saubhagya Dayine 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 Namaha. I'm gonna chill because it's
Oh,
heat.
wow. Yeah. Send the words. Send the words.
Okay, I surely will
Absolutely.
see
This
you.
has been great. I knew I was going to end up, I'm sorry. I knew I was going to end up feeling like this when it was all over and done.
Well,
I
thank you.
did.
I
This is
appreciate
great.
I got one thing to say. Everybody go to Google. Google the Buddha outside in China. Julian just turned into that Buddha. You know Buddha is a woman now. Don't play. And the Buddha got knots and everything. I'm telling you, Julian face just turned into that big statue. It's like 1,000 feet tall, sitting outside. It's got Julian's hair. I'm telling you, her face while she did that chant.
What the goddess say? Sherry Berry
This
in the
is
house.
sharp.
That's Charbet.
Gracious salutations, goddess. Julian literally turned into that Buddha. Literally just that fast. Google that picture of the Buddha. It's a Buddha sitting on a big wall in China. It's big.
Okay.
You know that's a woman. Julian, I'm telling you.
so many outlets.
Brandon said yes.
You want to study. Like most people have one cowlick and a cowlick, which is funny. No way cow why the cows are weird in certain cultures, Hathor, right? All of that. But I don't know. I have like maybe 20, 30 of them. So I always wondered if those things were really Bantu knots or if it was something because magnetically, I don't be feeling them. Magnetically, it feels like swirls and energy. Um, so yes, those energies are for embodiment of peace and bliss. And yeah, you can probably see it all over my face right now. It's gonna put me to sleep. So thank you, ladies, so very much. I super appreciate y'all. And let's schedule for another one. I would
Oh,
definitely
I was gonna say we're only gonna let you go if you promise to come back one day. But you
absolutely.
good, you good. All right. Yes, I'm sure everybody's looking forward to it. So we can't call this a part one because I'm
Okay.
sure you're so knowledgeable on this stuff. This gives us time to go do our homework,
Okay. Okay.
and I'm
Sound
sure and whatever you want to talk about, whenever, just
okay.
come back.
All right. So I'll definitely get with you. We can schedule for probably next week, same time.
Oh, absolutely. You on, Selena? Selena, look, another amazing program, goddesses. I knew it. I knew it. Thank you,
Gratitude,
Charmaine.
goddess.
Thank you for
Gratitude.
tuning in.
Thank you.
Everybody in the chat, thank you. You got a special one today. We knew it. That's why we left that notice out there that long. So you can come out and find out what's what about chanting from someone special to all of anybody who comes from TV. All of my people should know you by now. And so we've watched you grow and you continuing to shoot up. Love your poetry.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Don't
Yeah,
ever stop.
so much. I really do appreciate it. Absolutely. And I'll see y'all next week.
Peace and love to you, Julian. Peace.